Coming up today on the Prosperity Nation podcast.
The thing is like you can't do any of this if the books are a mess. It's like driving with your windshield completely blacked out. Like what we're doing is getting the dirt off the windshield so you can see where you're going and what's in front of you. And then we can get a roadmap and start planning on where to go.
Welcome to the Prosperity Nation podcast. I'm Angie.
And I'm Elise.
And we are glad you're here listening with us today. We have a topic that we do like to talk about, but sometimes it's not always the easiest topic, to talk about how to clean up your finances so that you can reduce the stress in your life. Believe it or not, finances cause stress. Hello.
That's surprising.
I know, right? Have you ever heard that before?
No.
Isn't it still like the number one reason for divorce is because of money?
I don't know if that's like statistically true, but I would believe it if I
Yeah, it's probably
feel
Google
like it
true.
Yeah.
Internet true.
But it's like even just with our interaction, like our day-to-day interactions with our clients, like current and past, it's the number one cause of just arguments, I feel like.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Exactly. And, those are all based on having a not knowing what's going on and the financial chaos. I always say digital money chaos because the chaos that's created with all these apps and auto pays, there is no physical money anymore, really. And man, the chaos that happens with all this digital world of invoices, receipts, statements, like you just don't get paper. You don't get it anymore. So it all just gets tangled up, and it's really hard to have peace when you're standing in the middle of chaos.
Yeah. There's no balancing checkbooks anymore.
That's for sure.
There's money in like 8 places, and it's like you have Apple Cash and this, and then you have like, what is it, Venmo, who you can like cash out or it just stays there. It's almost like a pseudo bank account. Like it's right. So it's wild. Like it's everywhere.
PayPal, debit cards, all of that.
Yeah.
And okay, fine, you get your money now. That's great. But try to do the accounting for it. Oh my God, that's where the stress comes in because you don't know where your money's going. It's one of the first things that we do when in order for us to actually create a funding plan so that you can put your money directly into your goals is we've got to clean up the finances. We can't have visibility into the truth of what's going on unless we have order. And that's kind of our motive is truth and order in the finances. And at least we laugh because we see books that are chaos, and what happens? What does it feel like, Elise, when you get a set of books from a new prospect coming on or a new client coming on board, and they are horrible? What happens?
Honestly, I feel like I get anxiety sometimes, like just looking at it, I'm like, what? And it just doesn't make sense, and you don't know what's happening, and it's just like a jumbled mess, kind of, and I'm like, I don't even know how to look at this. And I look at these things every day. I could not even imagine what the business owner sees. And that's why maybe these financial statements seem so difficult of a concept because they're not normally easy to read because of how it's being done, not because they're not easy to read.
That's right, because they're actually really simple. Yeah. But when there's chaos in it, just like anything, if there's chaos, you can't see what's going on. And I know that it's more than you getting a little anxious. I know the anxiety that you get. Yeah,
I was trying to be nice.
But Elise and me, I have to admit, man, there's nothing more stressful than for us than the debits don't equal the credits or the balance sheet isn't right or whatever.
Or the balance sheet's not in balance.
Yeah,
we did a new client's tax return this last year. I don't know if you remember, but we just took them over. So it was our first year doing them. And I'm trying to get the balance sheet. And I went back, I don't know, it was like 2015 where the assets and liability, the balance sheet didn't balance. I'm like, how is QuickBooks even allowing this to happen? Like, I didn't even know that was a thing.
I know.
But that was a whole situation.
How many CPA firms did it go through before it got to us for all those years and nobody fixed the fact that the balance sheet was out of balance? Yeah.
It was, that blew my mind.
I know. Well, it's one of those symptoms of, bookkeepers and accountants like training themselves on QuickBooks and thinking that's bookkeeping. And I know that we work with clients who have in-house bookkeepers that train themselves, and it puts so much more work on us because they don't really understand accounting. And they think they just know how to, do accounting because they learned QuickBooks. But You run into one little snag like that, and there's no way they'd be able to figure that out.
No, because you don't know.
We almost
you don't know
didn't
what you're
figure
looking
it out.
for.
That's right.
Yeah, like you know it's wrong, but you don't know. You know it's wrong because QuickBooks is telling you it's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
You're getting the alert, but you're like, I don't know why, and I don't know how to fix it.
Exactly.
Keep moving.
Just skip.
Yeah, someone else will.
Well, it's really important that, we watch our clients go from stressed out about money to where they are calm and confident and they're looking forward to our calls, or they're fine not even talking to us for a few months because they know we've got things under control and they understand what's happening. And that is our beautiful gift that we get to have, is to watch our clients go from total frantics, stressed, worried about the IRS coming to the door with handcuffs, I think.
Going to jail or something?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why that's a thing.
Oh my gosh, everybody's scared of the IRS. And the only reason is because there's so many unknowns and they get these surprise notices that make them pay money, and they're like they thought it was all handled. Yeah. But we get rid of all that. And we stop all those notices, and we help clients start talking about money and laugh about it, and be excited about it going towards goals now. And it is so rewarding for us. But how do you do it? Like, can you kind of walk us through, Elise? Like, what does cleaning up your books mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first thing I think I do to clean up is really just get an understanding of what's actually happening. I'm talking the most basic, like how many bank accounts do you actually have, And then they tell me, and then I look and I say, oh, well, your books say you have 4, but you're telling me you have 5. So, okay, that's a problem, And so it's just going to that much of a basic level and going through everything, the bank accounts, the credit cards. Do you own any assets, buildings, equipment, and any other loans, and just really diving in and just having the conversation with the client of like, what do you actually have? What do you own? What?
But the client doesn't always know, like you said, right? They don't know. So what do you do to find these things out? How do you discover a new bank account or a missed credit card? How does that go?
So if they're like, yeah, that's all right. Everything's good. I'm like, okay, cool. So then, then I go and I start looking at like what's actually happening in the bank account and on the credit cards. Where is the money going? Is it going? What expenses is it going to? And I am very like OCD. If I don't recognize a vendor or like a payee, I will Google, I will look at the phone number on the little description. I do what I can to try to figure out like what exactly that's for. Sometimes I'll see banks. So I'll see like $1,000 going to a bank. And I'm like, that bank isn't listed on any of the bank accounts. So then I, obviously ask the client, and they're like, oh yeah, I actually do have a, Charles Schwab, whatever. And I'm like, great, what is that for? Why is it not on here? So then I start pulling, I'll get the statements and, start.
And you go through all that, and then you realize that was actually a personal account, not a business account. Shouldn't have been on there in the first place, right?
That also happens.
I mean, probably the first starting point with all of this is separating the business and the personal stuff, getting all the personal stuff out of the business, right? I mean, that's one of the biggest things that we see is it's just all entangled.
Yeah. Most businesses, it's almost like because it's a single owner or it's a spouse, dynamic that owns the business, that a lot of times, for whatever reason, they'll use, the bank business account almost like their personal piggy bank, So that is definitely also one of the first things with almost every client is like, okay.
I think we get that.
Personal here.
I think we get that too, where people want to try and run, expenses through the business. Right. And we've talked about that before about, okay, you're kind of being out ethics here. You're trying to get the best tax deduction, but come on, let's be honest. You're not using that for business, so don't put it in there. So that's part of it, but a lot of that is just not knowing, can I deduct this? Can I not? And our conversation always goes back to who cares if it's deductible or not? What does it cost to run this business?
Right.
It's like the tax does not have to drive your decisions for your business. You do your business well, get it making profitable, and we'll help restructure it to be able to pay you the least amount of taxes.
Exactly. And kind of to your point, if they're unsure if it's a business expense or not, my question is, well, did you use it for business or not? Like that should be pretty black and white,
Right.
like, if you use something for the business or didn't.
Yeah.
So I don't understand.
It's deductible though, isn't it?
Who cares? Is it a business or not? Like you normally don't go and like flip it the other way. And like, if you don't think it's deductible, you're like, I'm just not going to buy it. Like you'll still buy it. So who cares if it's deductible or not? Just, is it business or not?
Yeah, exactly. Well, then that's that point of, one, not managing cash flow is another way that business and personal books get all entangled, because you're not on regular payroll, you're not on regular distribution schedules. And so when you need money, you take money, or if you don't have your card with you, you just pay it out of the other one. And so not managing cash flow is a big symptom of that entanglement as well. The other one is the tax deductions and thinking, that you're going to try and write off everything, or if you're not sure, you'll put in there and figure it out or whatnot. And these cause hidden lies about what's going on in your finances. That's the importance of cleaning it up. I mean, what happens when you clean up the books?
Well, I mean, when you clean up the books, you can instantly see things that stand out to you as being bizarre or strange or needs, more attention, I guess you can say. You start to actually see if the business, in this example for business, is actually efficient and making money. Because when you have the personal so jumbled in, you can't tell if the business is actually producing. And so, when you start to clean it up and move all that out and get things so where you can actually say, like, how is my business doing? You can see things like, am I charging enough? Is my pricing right? Or, are my supplies too high? But if you're always concerned about having no profit for taxes, you're never going to see that because you're always going to be negative.
Yeah, you're going to be running whatever you can through just to not pay taxes rather than thinking, how do I make more money more efficiently, make more money.
And then make more money.
Pay your taxes because that's your duty as a person here, and pay as little as possible. And that's why, you strategize, but it's not by hiding and sneaking and keeping chaos so that nobody will know. Right. That reminds me of a story. I had this ex-boyfriend once. Okay, this is embarrassing. But
and then you have to tell it now.
I know. Well, his strategy for how to deal with IRS audits was to keep it as chaotic as possible. And then if he got an audit, which he did, he would bring in a huge multiple boxes of chaotic receipts and say, here you go. And let them sort it out and figure it out. And then they would be like, we're not touching that. And then he'd get it negotiated and get it written off. I'm saying, no, that's not a good strategy. Like, chaos is not a good strategy.
That's funny, though.
But he was hiding stuff. Yeah. And instead of being honest and doing things ethically and keeping really good order and visibility so he could actually make good decisions, he hid all his bad decisions in the chaos and then had to hide things and write things off or whatever from the IRS. And so he had to just avoid the whole situation. And it's like, that does not bring peace. That does not reduce money stress.
No.
Chaos increases stress. Hiding things increases stress. You can't have honest conversations, honest looking at what's going on in your books, business or personal, to say, are we on track? If you are stressed out and hiding things and living in chaos or living in, just that sneakiness that we want to do to avoid it.
Yeah. And I also think that, getting it clean, getting it correct, getting it, this is business, you can already tell that paranoia of getting an audit or what the IRS is going to do, that I feel like stops because they know they're doing the right thing now.
I could feel it. I just took a deep breath like, oh, wow. I felt relaxed just listening to you.
Yeah. And even it's like they know if they were to get audited, they have nothing to hide because it's all correct now. And I think that alone is huge for a lot of our clients, in the money chaos cleanup, if you will.
Yeah, because there's only 4 parts to money. It's really simple. It's assets, liabilities, income, and expenses. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be 16 bank accounts between business and personal and 8 credit cards back and forth and money transferring and all that stuff. That does not streamline your money into your goals. That creates a lot of extra steps, ways to lose money, ways to make mistakes, all of that. And keeping it really simple and just understanding, what do I own? What do I own? Like, seriously, honestly, can you say that? What are the assets that I own in my business and in my personal finances? And then what are the balances of my debts? And surprisingly, people believe, or they think when you ask what their balances of their debt are, they tell you the monthly amount. And that's not the balance of the debt. So there's just some misunderstandings from what is the balance that you owe? Because what you have minus what you owe, that's your net worth. And the only way to increase your net worth is to have cash flow coming into your net worth. So you have to have more income than expenses, and then that will feed your net worth by increasing your assets or reducing your debt. That's it. That's the simplicity of money. And it's not simple when it's in chaos. And that causes so much stress, leading to fights, leading to hiding things, leading to us as advisors trying to help you get out of this chaos. And we're all stressed because there's so much like chaos in there and money stress. And, at the end of the day, you get it all cleaned up and you can see what's going on. And there's huge relief there. Yeah. And you can finally confront it. And you can have honest conversations with your partner and be able to say, you know what? We're not doing great. Or, wow, we're doing better than we thought. Why are we all stressed about this?
Yeah. And, I actually just finished a few cleanup projects for a few clients this week and last week. And one of the clients had no liabilities on their business books at all. I can't tell you why. It was a new client.
And I'd be like, yeah, great. You're debt free, right?
Well, they knew they were in debt because they had a lot of loans. Like they even sent me the loan contracts and stuff. But it was almost like they couldn't see what the actual total was. And kind of like you said, when you can't see what you're dealing with, you can't really come up with a plan. So, this client, we fixed all the loans, put them on their books. Then we can say, okay, great. Like, here's the plan. Like, here's how we're going to get it all paid off. But when you don't actually have it, when it's not listed, and this could go for personal too, like if you don't have a spreadsheet with your credit card debt or something, like it's all just floating around and you can't actually come up with a way to reduce it because you're just making all of the minimum payments and you're so scattered that you don't actually know at any given time what you're looking at, what you're dealing with, where you're at. Yeah. And you don't know.
Yeah, you can't put together a debt reduction strategy if you don't know what it is, No. And that's something that it's easy to lose money in that area when you're paying off the wrong things, when you actually can just use the same amount of money and apply it differently, and you can pay off your debt faster and pay less interest, and you're not linking money everywhere. But that's interesting because by you cleaning up the assets, you didn't find that out. Then you go clean up the liabilities and you're like, wait a minute, there's $500,000 of loans not recorded on the balance sheet.
Nope.
Sounds like Enron. Oh, that's dating myself. And what happens? Then that means where's the assets to these? Where's the assets to this debt? What did you do with this? I bought all these assets. I remodeled the building. Well, where are they on the balance sheet? Not there.
Nope.
Right? And you would have never known that had you not reconciled every liability, right?
Correct. Yeah. And there was more assets than debt for this particular client. And so we got all those on there. And then we discovered there were, depreciation not being taken on the taxes. And so it was just a huge money, I don't want to say savings, but money found.
Yeah, $108,000.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Missed opportunities, stuff we can get back. That was huge. The flip side of that, because I don't want to focus on the negative, which is debt, but we have had a few clients after we cleaned up their personal books that their net worth was way higher than they even thought because they had all these assets that they weren't putting together. And so even just seeing the kind of like excitement, like, oh, wow. Like I thought we were doing really horrible and that's great. Like, so that was also really cool too, to see, that come together and see them kind of liven up because they realized they actually had a pretty decent positive net worth.
I was doing this. We do starting stats when somebody comes to us and we just do like a rough, where are we starting from without anything cleaned up? And I was doing starting stats with a client and just for fun, I had said, well, here's what your monthly expenses are and here's your net worth. Let's just say for fun that you sold everything and you paid off all your debt and there's a pile of money left on the table and you used, this $20,000 a month or whatever it was every month to live on. How many months would that last for? And it was beyond their lifetime. And I'm like, you're doing okay
right
here. She was shocked.
Right.
She was shocked. She did not have any clue that she was doing as well as she was doing.
They don't. But the thing is like you can't do any of this if the books are a mess, or if they're in money chaos, or if there's money floating, or like you said, million bank accounts. Like you can't see any of this. It's like driving with your windshield completely blacked out. Like you don't know where you're going. You don't know what's in front of you. You have no idea. So you might as well just stop at that point. Just stop driving. Like just stop going anywhere. Just stop. But exactly. It's like what we're doing is getting, the dirt off the windshield so you can see where you're going and what's in front of you. And then we can get a roadmap and start planning on where to go.
Yeah, exactly. And when you have a roadmap and when you can see, it's a lot less stressful.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, that's a great example. You're driving down a coastal road and you're enjoying the sun and everything's going well and you're coasting and, all of a sudden you turn around the corner, you hit a fog bank, boom, you can't see where you're going. All of a sudden you sit up, you're tense, you're tight, you got to slow way down, you got to navigate this. But when it is that sunny and clear, you got the music playing, you're kicked back, you're laughing, the ride is enjoyable.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do with all this. Get rid of all this stress. It's unnecessary. It's just not necessary. And when you take that out of the equation, because you have clean books, you have a clean plan, you know where you're going, you're working together. It's like taking a Sunday drive on the coast.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I would encourage all of our listeners to do, to just stop this week for a minute and get out a piece of paper and write it down, if nothing else. What do you have? What do you owe? What's your income? What's your expenses? You don't have to be a mathematician to do this. You don't have to be a millionaire to have financial freedom. All you have to do is just start looking and start taking out some chaos. Get that order in, get the truth in, and you will know how to make smart decisions. You just can't do that if you're stressed out in chaos. So the smartest way to get about money is to look.
Exactly.
To get it orderly.
Just open your eyes first.
Yeah. Right? And keep it simple. It's not hard. It's doable for everybody. It really is. But we want to hear your stories. We want to hear, what did you do this week? What did you see? Did you look at something? Did you write down, find out what your net worth is? What's your assets minus your liabilities? What's left? What would be on the table if you sold everything and paid off your debts? We want to hear, what's this process? What are your barriers? What's holding you back from being stress-free and knowing that you're achieving your goals? We want to hear from you.
Exactly. So go ahead and share those stories with us. The email is stories@prosperitynation.com. You can always like and subscribe our podcast and follow us on social media. It's The Prosperity Nation.
Awesome. We'll see you next time.
We'll see ya.
Thanks for joining us today. Follow us on social media for the latest episodes, updates, and more. Like and subscribe to videos from us on YouTube and find out more at prosperitynation.com. That's it for now. We'll see you next time on the Prosperity Nation podcast.